Hi again, Leo Demetrio here from Let It Spin, and as usual, joining me again today from Geelong in Victoria, Mr. Martin Fawkes.
Hello there, Leo.
Hi,
And Wes.
and where's Jay? Hi, Wes.
Hey.
Today we pay tribute to excellent singer-songwriter, musician Christine McVie, who sadly passed away aged 79 on November 30th of this year. As well as giving our insights, we'll be ranking our top three favourite songs featuring Christine McVie. Now, Christine is well known and loved as a key member of Fleetwood Mac, contributing significantly by writing some of the band's biggest hits. McVie excelled as keyboardist for the band, but it was her superb, appealing vocals for me that added to the musical soundtrack of my life, and I'm sure millions of others who were in their early to mid-teens through the 70s and 80s. So for me, boys, my first taste was the 1975 album Fleetwood Mac, which not long after its release I purchased and loved it, of course. And that led me to subsequent Fleetwood Mac purchases, Rumours in 77 and Tusk in 1979. And needless to say, I love the band, particularly the 70s, mid to late 70s. Incarnation, if you like. What's that, Martin? Mark III or something like that? Or Fleetwood
Yeah,
Mac
Mark 7 or 9 or something.
But have a lot of respect for the late 60s and early 70s stuff,
Sure.
which you'll probably touch on right now. I'll throw to you, mate.
As you're alluding to, Leo, they were a band that were constantly in flux until that 1975 lineup kind of stayed together for a while. And that was certainly the first where I'd heard Christine McVie, as she became, her contribution to the band. But to me, that was Fleetwood Mac. Where have you been all this time? Because in my younger years, of course, I knew the Peter Green era of the band, and specifically, of course, Albatross, the instrumental, which the Beatles paid tribute to with their song Sun King from Abbey Road, and Oh Well, which Led Zeppelin paid tribute to with Black Dog from Led Zeppelin 4. And so that earliest version of the band was the one that resonated most strongly with me for quite a long time. And to me, it was intriguing in recent times to pay a visit to the local record store and buy a very inexpensive box set and discover there was a whole period between the Peter Green departing the band, Christine McVie joining the band, and then Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joining. And in fact, there were 5 albums, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 albums that Christine McVie was on. 5 as a full member, and to name those: Kiln House, Future Games, Bare Trees, Penguin, Mystery to Me, and Heroes Are Hard to Find. And to me, I would call that the grey era of the band, because Peter Green, incendiary guitar player, and he brought Danny Kirwan into the band as a guitar playing foil. Once Peter had left the band, Danny stayed around, but the fire wasn't there. And they did bring in other guitarists, Bob Welch, Bob Weston, amongst other guitarists who've been in the band over the years. And Christine's keyboard playing and singing and backing vocals brought a different flavour. Where's the vinegar? Where's the taste? That little tang that just kind of makes things just perfect. No pun intended. So I think I passed that box set on to you, and you actually love those songs.
I do. I'm not saying they're amongst my favourites. I've still got that later 70s period that I favour, but it was a bit of a revelation to me because I really enjoyed what went on during that period. Although, as you say, there's no vinegar and spice or whatever, to my ears, I really enjoyed listening to them as a whole, and still do. And more on that later when we do our top three. So
Sure.
I think I think there's a lot to say about that period. If you're, if you enjoy your, I guess they started on a West Coast type American journey from that point on, and they sealed it when they hit 1975 with that.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. So what about you, Wes? Where do you fit into Fleetwood Mac, Christine McVie? You must go back to the start.
Yeah, I'm a really old fart. Yeah, my introduction with Fleetwood Mac was Albatross and that beautiful instrumental piece on the other side of the single. I even remember that Jigsaw Blues.
Jigsaw Puzzle
Yeah,
Blues.
yeah, Jigsaw Puzzle Blues. Yeah, just brilliant. I think there was only about a minute and a half long or something like that from memory. But Albatross, uh, Oh Well is one of my favorite songs of all time. It's just up there. I just love that wonderful guitar lick, love the vocals. Um, of course, Black Magic Woman as well, which Santana did so well.
Yeah.
But the rest of the stuff just wasn't on my radar at all. I was into the singles, just into that. And as you rightfully pointed out, great context that you provided, there was this period where they were making records and they were building their fan base yet again. And they're building it, I guess, from zero or pretty well close to zero. And the reason why I say that is because they shifted their entire music style. Okay, Peter
Absolutely.
Green might have been involved in some of their later stuff. What was that on Husk? But he was also involved in doing the odd bit of session work over the years. But it was a new sound, it was a new approach. So when they added, Christine McVie and all the rest of the gang in there, it was a different band. And then you've got to go, well, that's been, as you pointed out too, is that this has been a band where there's been a revolving door. 19 different lineups of Fleetwood Mac over the years. 19 of them. There might have been more, but I think there was 19 now from my count. So you just got to go, what the heck was going on here? And during the period that Christine was with them, they created some wonderful music ranging from Come a Little Bit Closer, Over My Head, Say You Love Me, of course, the Songbird, all the way through to some of the stuff in the early 90s with In the Back of My Mind, Save Me, and Sky's the Limit. Not forgetting the duets that she did with Lindsey Buckingham, Don't Stop and Hold Me.
And a
But
chain.
here is this incredible confluence of all these people coming together. Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham, Bob Welsh, Peter Green, and of course Mick Fleetwood, all of them at different stage, and it's kind of like sand, isn't it? It's, hey, you're walking on sand, and it's sometimes these rise, sometimes somebody else rises, and
Well, the tide's coming in and going out. You don't know who's going to remain when the tide goes out.
oh, exactly right. And I think that's part of the beauty of the story of Fleetwood Mac. It's ever changing. Like you never knew whether it was going to be a Stevie Nicks or Christine McVie or Lindsey Buckingham song up that was going to be the hit single. You never knew. It was all
And
depended on the flavour at the time.
how incredible to have 3 lead vocalists that you can pick from at any time.
Yeah.
And it just provides a longevity because you're not locked into any one sound. And then when they want to sing together, the harmonies and the beautiful vocal framework as well.
I think their albums, when I listen to the mixes, or maybe I'm just, listening to the remastering, they tend to be a little bit rockier than what I remember them. And certainly they're rockier than what the singles were. I think the singles, maybe because of the American adult contemporary environment, which, hey, that's the only place that you're going to be able to do very well in the United States. It was on adult contemporary radio. Therefore, they just smoothed them out for the singles. And so great songs. And I just like their music. And that's all I can say.
That's excellent. I think as we go through our top three, there's probably a lot to say specifically about Christine McVie and how she influenced not only the songs in the band, but also the people that were listening to her stuff. And let's launch into our top three, boys, and let's see what we've got.
Sure.
Martin, number three.
Okay, well, Wes alluded to Peter Green being involved on the Tusk album, and he didn't appear on. If he did, it was very momentary on this particular song. But there's a version that is now on the reissues of Tusk called Brown Eyes, and there are two versions. There's a version with Peter Green, very prominent, playing that beautiful kind of haunting guitar. With different lyrics than the one that was on the official release that came out, the song Brown Eyes. So if you want an insight into what can go on in the production process, the songwriting process, the arranging process, listen to the two versions. So there's one without Peter Green's guitar in, that's very, very easy listening, middle of the road, but it is an album track. And then there's another one with a lyric which seems to have the refrain, Yesterday's Tears, with Peter's playing in the foreground. And I just found this fascinating to discover this. And even to discover that 12 years after the formation of the band, 9 years after he had departed, that Peter had been welcomed back into the studio and was able to contribute, even though it didn't make the official release at the time. And of course, Christine sings it beautifully.
So that's number three.
My preference is the early version with Peter Green, because her singing is more impassioned, the lyrics seem more heartfelt.
Cool. Where's your number three?
Oh man, this is really a toss-up. I'm going to go with the song Everywhere. Not a huge hit. It certainly got a fair amount of turntable play back in the day. And I think that was partially because the albums were just selling out of the ballpark, so to speak. So the singles, same thing happened with Eagles, of course. Their singles weren't exactly big sellers, but their albums, Fleetwood Mac were the same in that era, where everybody seemed to be getting Tusk and Mirage and Rumours and just they were everywhere. It was almost like a period of time on the radio where they were being played every couple of hours, at least back in the day. So my number three is Everywhere. Love it. And of course, Christine McVie is the singer.
Cool. Well, my number three is thanks to Martin Fawkes for those wonderful CDs. And this one's from Bare Trees. And it's Christine McVie penned and sung, Spare Me a Little of Your Love. And this has a soul gospel type sound, and it sounds fantastic. It's timeless and it really fits into the album, and it's a great song. So Spare Me a Little of Your Love from Bare Trees is my number three. Martin, your number two.
Well, my number two is a song that I first came across from a performance by Rod Stewart and the Faces, I'd Rather Go Blind. And not a particularly great performance either. It seemed like the band weren't interested, and Rod was trying his best to sound soulful, but the band weren't really lifting their game and supporting him well. So to my surprise, when I dug up Chicken Shack and found their version with Christine Perfect singing, beautiful. And it's like, wow, who wouldn't invite someone like that into their band with a performance like that? and quite different than what I was expecting on the basis of her Fleetwood Mac work. Even beautiful. I'd rather go blind. Chicken Shack.
Beautiful.
What's the correct title? Is it I'd rather be blind or rather go blind?
I'd rather go blind.
Go blind, yeah.
Yeah, because some performers have recorded that under the name I'd rather be blind.
I'm guessing that it's traditional without having looked it up.
Yeah.
It seems to me to be one of those standards that a lot of people were.
Yeah,
Maybe it's an old Etta James or someone of
it
that
is.
ilk. Is it?
Yeah,
There you go.
I
and
think
I'm
it is
sure
Etta James.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there have been scores and scores of covers of it over the years.
I
And
think her husband got the credit for writing it, but she actually did.
okay,
Cool.
so that ensured some money actually came to the family, and
Yes,
nobody kept it.
yes, you've
Okay.
got it. It was a single here in Australia in 1969,
Yeah,
and then it was re-released in 1980.
yeah. Wow,
Okay.
it's a cash in on Fleetwood Mac success,
Yes, sure.
resurgence. Yep.
Awesome. Where's your number 2?
It's a cut from this album, which is probably very blurry.
Looks like Tango in the Night, is it?
Yeah, that's it. So it's a blurry in the
Yeah.
night.
Stay still. Stay
Blurry in
still.
the Night.
There you go. Just
Nearly.
tilt it. It's
Little Lies. You just can't get that song. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. But don't you dare. That pattern of notes and the melody and that rhythm pattern just goes, you can't get them out of your head. Yeah, I'm not even going to sing it. Don't go there.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
It was one of the best songs ever, or let's say the highest charting singles for her. Reached number 16, and 1987, just one of the big hits of the year. And I think going back my rock jock days, we just love playing that song so much.
Cool. Well, my number 2 goes to Fleetwood Mac, Rumours. You Make Love and Fun. Perfect pop song. Timeless. Christine McVie on vocals. Can't say any more than that. She wrote it. It's a great song. Still love listening to it. My number 2, You Make Love and Fun. Fleetwood Mac from Rumours. Before we go to number 1, Martin, I'll ask you for any other thoughts before we go to our number 1s.
Look, I don't want to cheat here, but it's like, I have my top 3 that I've written down, but there are earworms that have been buzzing around in my head, uninvited, and all week that are not my top 3. So I'm going to name The Chain. I'm going to name Over My Head. And I'm going to name Little Lies. That, as Wes was saying, that particular pattern of riffs and vocal harmonies and call and response, just dancing around, buzzing around in your head. So credit to Christine and the co-writers of those pieces that and to me, just doing the research for our chat today, it's really confirmed for me that what a strong writer and performer she was. You'd say Fleetwood Mac, first things I think of are Peter Green, Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, but it's like, wow, without Christine, what would they have been?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Totally agree.
Yeah, nailed it.
Where's any other thoughts before your number 1?
No.
Okay, cool. I just want to mention about Little Lies. Great song, well penned, well written,
but
it's those 80s keyboard flourishes that get to me, and I can't listen to it. I cannot listen to it, but yeah.
Well, I haven't listened to it. It's just been dancing around in there. It's been dancing around. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Martin, let's get into your number 1 song.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, my number 1, and with full apologies to Christine on this one, it's not even her performance, but it's a song that she wrote, is a sadly deceased young female singer. She, as far as I know, she never wrote anything of her own, but she would sing other people's songs, and just an exquisite singer by the name of Eva Cassidy. And if you've never heard of Eva Cassidy, go and look her up and find out. And she sang Songbird and just made it fly. Just gorgeous. So that's my number one. Thank you, Christine, for writing it. Thank you, Eva, for singing it and recording it.
Yeah, interesting. I played Songbird by Fleetwood Mac in the car today on our way to breakfast with my wife and my two daughters, and one of them said, "Get that sad stuff off." She wanted something perky to get her going, and I was really digging it until she mentioned that, so I had to turn it off. But it's a great song, Songbird. Yeah, brilliantly written. Where's your number one?
I'm going to cheat. I can't, what's the word, unequal two songs.
Okay.
All right. And they are Don't Stop from 1977 and Hold Me from 1981. And both of those are earworms.
They are.
Just incredible. Like Hold Me has got so much, what's the word? Yeah, it just smooth all the way. And Don't Stop is I love it. But it's Christine McVie and Lindsay Buckingham on each case. And so they're duets. Or at least where they both had a hand in the vocals. So I love those songs.
Fantastic. Well, my number one goes back to when I first started hearing Fleetwood Mac from the first album, and it's Say You Love Me. Great single, fantastic song, brilliant vocals, and I'm not sick of it. It's a great song, Say You Love Me from Fleetwood Mac. Okay, boys, that's our top three. Any other ideas, comments that you'd like to make, or just rest in peace, Christine McVie? She's given us a great legacy to listen to, and her songs will live on forever.
Oh, certainly the case. Are you guys familiar with any Aussies doing covers of Fleetwood Mac songs? Okay, I found three.
Yes.
And
do tell.
Okay, and they are poles apart.
Yeah.
There's Kamal.
Pardon?
Kamal.
Kamal.
Cool. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. He recorded Warm Ways.
Okay.
Yeah. Tame Impala did Thanks All for Everyone.
Yeah.
And you were talking about The Chain before, Martin.
Yes.
Stonefield featuring Katie Noonan did The Chain.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Probably my favorite side project, I guess, with a Fleetwood Mac connection is one called The Zoo.
With Billy Thorpe.
Yeah, Billy Thorpe and Mick Fleetwood. And like Fleetwood Mac did this tour, which was called Shakin' the Cage. I'm not sure whether Billy was part of that, but certainly the Mac were doing it. And they recorded a single, a 45, which came out as The Zoo, Mick Fleetwood, featuring Mick Fleetwood and Billy Thorpe, Shakin' the Cage, and the other side was Forgive. I think Shakin' the Cage is the strongest song, but Forgive also is not bad.
I remember that coming out and just Billy's voice cutting through like a foghorn, you know, when he would lean into his notes and just it was more like a piccolo trumpet than a foghorn, probably.
I always scratched my head and thought, what's Billy Thorpe and Fleetwood Mac doing stuff together? But then you realise that Mick Fleetwood spent a fair amount of his time writing film scores, which is exactly what Billy Thorpe did. And I think they're both involved in one, what was a Star Trek or something like that, at least a television series. And Billy just made part of his living doing film stuff. And same with Mick Fleetwood. So all power to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I feel like we could talk for hours about Fleetwood Mac in general, but we won't.
Yep.
Oh,
I'm sure there'll be future shows where we highlight other aspects of Fleetwood Mac. That would be great, especially a Peter Green tribute would be great at some point. Martin, you'll be all over that.
oh
yeah. But yeah, so that's fantastic, boys. Thanks for your contribution today, and thank you all for checking us out again. Please check out the link where you can find the latest 45 RPM program, which Wes hosts, as well as his previous shows are also in that link as well. So we ask that you add your comment by letting us know your favourite Christine McVie
yes.
songs as well. Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed today's offering, and if so, we'd love it if you could just give us a thumbs up and to subscribe to Let It Spin. And we'll see you next time. Catch you later.
Thank you.